Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on all things narcissism. Today we're going to be taking on the question of why do narcissists need to leave us feeling so small? Before I get to that, just a pitch for my new podcast, Navigating Narcissism. Would love for you to listen. It's a whole different approach to narcissism than what I do on this YouTube channel, talking with folks who've been through it. Please look at the video notes. You'll get more info on it, and you can listen and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. So let's go back to this question. Why do narcissists need to leave us feeling so small? If you have an answer to that question, drop that one in the comments. Here's my answer to that. Why do narcissists have to leave us feeling so small? So they can feel big. And that could be the end of the video, but not actually. But really, that is that. Everyone else needs to be small so they can feel big. Let's break down some of the ways that they do this. The first way they leave us feeling small is comparison. They leave us feeling smaller by comparing us to other people. In an intimate relationship, this may be them noticing other people in an inappropriate way when we're just sitting right there in front of them, or staring at people, or comparing us to other people's spouses, or other people they know, people they see in public, people they see on TV or social media. In families, it's about comparing you to siblings, cousins, other children, or other people, or comparing the entire family to another family. Look at the Joneses. They're so much more together than us. In the workplace, it can be about pitting people against each other to win the boss's favor. It's a form of triangulation, and let's face it, in real life, we can't look like a photoshopped avatar, but ultimately it's not about that. Narcissistic relationships are about always feeling like we have to pedal faster and faster, to do more and more to win them over. They set it up like that. But when they compare you to someone else, you feel smaller. You'd feel not good enough. And what that does is allows them to remain dominant, and you continuing to cater to them and try to be as good as the person they're comparing you to. Comparison has no place in a healthy relationship, especially as a form of criticism. When it happens, step away and disengage and recognize the toxic dynamic that it is. I personally have endured this a lot with a family member, and it broke my heart for years. I still feel very unattractive and less than. But now when this person does it to me after all these years, I just get up and leave wordlessly. Another way they leave us feeling smaller is humiliation and mockery, which obviously is going to make anyone feel small. And sadly, the narcissists go there, often. They may tell you that you're dumb, foolish, unattractive, slow, can't cook, can't drive, can't do anything. They may laugh at you when you make a mistake or when you try something new. Many people will say they lose their courage in narcissistic relationships because they're regularly mocked when they try to do something or try something. It can constrict you and leave you terrified of attempting anything. And if this happened to you in childhood, it can completely silence your willingness to put yourself out there or even drive what feels like social anxiety. Because of this humiliation, of this mockery, you'll feel small, whether this happens with a partner or it happened in your family. And the doubly awful thing they will do is mock you, humiliate, degrade, and laugh at you. And if you do attempt to share your feelings and hurt about their conduct, they will laugh at you some more and tell you, oh, can't you take a joke, or we're just having fun. Third way they make you feel smaller is contempt. It doesn't feel good when someone is disgusted by you. You know what I mean. A person who literally would sneer at you and feel and seem disgusted or dismissive or contemptuous. It's the ultimate in dismissal. Contempt is also often associated with snobbery, things like having contempt for you for wearing the wrong thing or the wrong label, or not knowing how to pronounce a word, or about you not knowing about some fancy food or wine or restaurant or some other superficial BS. Contempt may be about you not knowing something. What kind of fool doesn't know how to do this or that? It may be about your taste in something. Ugh, that's disgusting. You eat that crap? It may be about your clothes, your appearance, your background, where you grew up, where you live, what you do, what you like. It may even be about your emotion, a contempt or a disgust about your emotional states. And many of you in narcissistic relationships can remember a time when the narcissistic person sneered at your emotional pain as though they were literally allergic to your emotion. It's just a projection on their behalf, but it still hurts. Contempt is a dehumanization, and it makes you feel like a tiny little speck. Narcissistic parents will be contemptuous of your needs and wants and shame you for them. Narcissistic partners may be contemptuous of everything about you, which leaves you feeling not enough and often awkward or unworthy. Narcissistic snobs may have contempt for various aspects of your life. Contempt is how narcissistic people go through relationships, and it always leaves people feeling small. Ironically, John Gottman, the famed marital researcher, says that contempt is a sign that a relationship is pretty much done. And since all narcissistic relationships are characterized by contempt, perhaps the way the syllogism goes then is that if all narcissistic relationships are characterized by contempt, then all narcissistic relationships won't work. But at a minimum, one thing is for sure, contempt always leaves us feeling small. A fourth way they leave us feeling small is betrayal, especially cheating. The reason betrayal, particularly in an intimate relationship in the form of cheating, feels so awful is because it communicates to us that we were not worthy of being cherished or protected. Narcissistic people cheat because they are careless, unempathic, entitled, dysregulated, and egocentric. All of that has nothing to do with you. However, if you have ever been cheated on, it leaves you feeling so small. And every person who has ever been cheated on always wonders, what was it about that other person that was better than me? If we expand this beyond just infidelity to other forms of betrayal, financial betrayal, professional betrayal, we again feel small because of the devaluation. But the infidelity, that's the betrayal that cuts us because we feel like we're so small, like we're not worthy. And while we're in it, it's hard to remember that they cheat because they are insecure, small, and sad people. And instead, their cheating, which allows them to feel bigger, leaves us feeling shrunken. A fifth way they make us feel smaller is mistreating us in front of other people. This takes the humiliation and triangulation and mixes it all up a bit. When the narcissistic person insults you or mocks you in front of other people, it feels awful. A parent doing this to you in front of your friends or their friends or other family shrinks you, especially if it has been happening since childhood and can make social situations feel so anxiety-provoking. To have a partner do this feels degrading, and you can see it may make other people around you uncomfortable. And sadly, so many survivors, instead of seeing this as the narcissist being an awful person, instead they internalize the shame and the self-blame. But to be mistreated and humiliated in front of other people almost always makes us feel shrunken and small. But all of these things are a way for the narcissistic person to be dominant, to show their so-called strength to the world, because they themselves feel so small. So what do? They shrink everyone else so they can feel secure. That said, all of this leaves us feeling small, and it is for this reason that understanding narcissism is so important. When you understand their psychology, you have a fighting chance at housing the smallness back inside of them. That is easier said than done, because these relationships may have left us feeling small, since we actually were little small people. The loss of identity and instinct means that we cannot see the gradual shrinking process that a narcissistic relationship is. We look up one day and we feel so small. And that smallness tracks us everywhere we go. We stop exerting ourselves. We stop advocating for ourselves. We stop believing we deserve to even have our basic needs met. Maybe this video is more of a how do they leave us feeling so small, but how, why, that doesn't matter as much as the fact that they do. And it's time that you started taking up the space in the world that you deserve and live at your full height. Thanks again.